Hi. This 10 Minutes on a Sonnet is focused on John Keats' sonnet, When I Have Fears. And I believe I can remember the whole thing. When I have fears that I may cease to be, before my pen has gleaned my teeming brain, before high piled books in charactery hold like rich garners the full ripened grain. When I behold upon the night's starred face huge cloudy symbols of a high romance, and think that I may never live to trace their shadows with the magic hand of chance. And when I fear, fair creature of an hour, that I may never look upon thee more, never have relish in the fairy power of unreflecting love, then on the shore of the wide world I stand alone and think, till love and fame to nothingness do sink. Really love that sonnet, and a lot of why I love it is just the sound of it, or sounds. And there's a lot of different sounds packed in there, the way I hear it, but to me, it's also really smooth. Um, it's got kind of a calming quality in the sounds of the words, and that's especially remarkable to me because he does put so many sounds in there, and it's a really musical poem to me because of all of the long vowel sounds that are in it. So in that first line, it's got when I have fears that I may cease to be. It's like six in 10 syllables, I believe. And so the way I hear long vowel sounds is there's a special kind of pleasure to listening to them. And I believe something that helps to make this poem kind of a smooth, calming experience is I don't know what they're called, but the the consonants that he uses are kind of softer, I believe. Um, like if he wanted to make it more of like a wake you up kind of sonnet, it might have more like hard G, D, K, um, Q maybe, and but instead it's when I have fears that I may cease. So he's picked vowels that have, kind of a softer, more muffled sound. And the sounds that he uses to me are beautifully suited to a poem that is meditative, where he's reflecting on how these loud, bright parts of life, love and fame, um, can pass. He can sit kind of with himself, the speaker of the poem can, and find that these things that he sees as fleeting are ultimately just that. They go by, and he's still there, and and it's all right. The way I read it, others might get a less "it's all right" feeling from it, but to me, it's sort of in the tradition of a lot of Eastern poetry that I've gotten to read, which is you know, focusing on the moment as maybe all there is or a lot of what there is. And it it's telling too to me that he focuses on love and fame. Um, that those are the two things he picks out because there are a lot of other things that pass that he could have picked from. Um, maybe just about everything. But instead, he picked, being famous, being well known, and romantic love. And I believe it's at least partly because those two things can seem eternal, or they can promise eternity, when they're here. Um, Being well known, not that I've experienced it, but, you know, fame can seem like a way of being able to be larger than one's own life, outlast one's own life, maybe. And Keats might have been remembering uh, a quote by Milton, and I don't remember the exact quote myself, but in a letter to maybe a friend, Milton said something like, "God help me, but I am dreaming of immortality." Like, he was maybe a little bit embarrassed by it, but he was contemplating being eternally famous. And in this sonnet, it seems like Keats is saying that, that sinks to nothingness. Um, and Keats had maybe a love hate relationship with Milton. Uh, that might be too extreme or reductive, but he tried to imitate Milton in his poem "The Fall of Hyperion," and the the point he arrived at with that was saying Milton's life would be death to me. And I do wonder how Fanny, uh, Keats's, um, you know, love, his great love, you could say, might have felt about this sonnet. But you can also, debate how autobiographical it is or isn't. But something that occurred to me, if it is autobiographical, is that Keats had difficult uh, kind of relationship responsibilities. He was tasked with sort of fathering his brother from a young age, and his brother died, and um, he grew up basically without parents himself, and so his experience with relationships really, from a young age, had not left any room for romance. And so maybe that's kind of a point that he was coming back to in this poem. Um, and to me, it's a helpful poem for reflecting on how things do pass, but on how there's so much beauty in what's here right now. Like I find in this poem itself. Um, the music of it's just amazing to me. Think that I may never live to trace their shadows with the magic hand of chance. Those short A sounds that he puts right in a row there. A, and it's just a great reading experience for me, and I'm grateful that whenever I memorize it, it's still in my brain because it helps me to remember too. Although I am a big fan of love, I not not a fan of fame really, which thankfully, because you know, not going to happen. But it's uh, it's a great reminder, this poem, to appreciate what's in front of me, and I'm grateful to Keats for that. So thanks for the chance to share about When I Have Fears.